But again, welcome back to InvGate. And today we're going to be looking at InvGate assets. As you know, we're going to pretty much look at it from stem to stern. We'll also look at how it kind of comes into play once again with the service desk itself. So we'll revisit that as well. But did we have any outstanding questions before we get started? You know my style. We're just going to jump in. There's no PowerPoint presentations.
Yeah, no worries. Just to kind of let you know, so Tony was on the service desk presentation with us.
Welcome back.
And then I also showed that recording to Robert, who just is joining us right now. He's our applications manager. So the three of us have seen the service desk portal, but they haven't seen how it interacts with the asset management. And then we've got Tim Bush here, who is our IT project manager. He has not seen either solution, and then our IT director is here that has not seen either solution as well. So just to kind of give you a background on what has been shown so far.
Right on. Excellent. So what we'll do is we will spend a majority of the time here in the asset management solution. And as I mentioned, then we'll go switch over to the service desk solution so we can see how it all comes together. I think it should be just fine for, we'll do the high level chatter and demonstration of the service desk as well. So we'll try to melt it all together here.
Okay, sounds good.
How long do I have you for?
Thank you guys for an hour and a half.
Yeah, brilliant. And as I probably joked about last time, it's challenging to cram a decade and a half worth of code into even an hour and a half of demonstration, but we'll do our best.
Yeah.
Excellent.
All right.
Cool. So, all right, InvGate. For some of I'm just going to do a little bit of repeat just for some of the people who haven't seen us the previous demonstration. But InvGate, we've been around since 2004. 2004 is that's actually where the name actually came from, is when we started our flagship solution, our first solution being our asset manager. So InvGate is short for your inventory gateway, or the gateway to all of your inventory. So that's actually where the name came from. It's pretty memorable because we need a vowel right about there on the screen, but it's pronounced InvGate. Just run it all together. So let us see. We're going to go ahead and log into the asset management solution. So we currently offer basically two solutions, if you will, that are seamlessly integrated. So we've got our ITAM, our IT asset management, which also includes some software license managing in the solution as well. And then we also, in 2008, we released our ITSM service desk ticketing system. And the two, again, are fully integrated so that you can access all the assets, details, and even a lot of functionality from the ticketing system itself. So I'm not following much of a script here. So as kind of par for the course from the last one, I may jump around here or there and everywhere, but we're going to certainly try to make sure that y'all get what you want out of this particular session, and you kind of see where we differentiate from some of the usual suspects out there. So InvGate Assets is going to be our all-in-one IT asset management tool. We're going to be able to automatically discover all of your inventory. We're going to do that in a couple of different ways. All of your workstations and your servers, both physical and virtual, will have an agent there that's going to grant us to do a lot of really slick functionality. Now, I can't remember, do you currently have an asset management solution in place? That'll help me kind of drive some of my conversation as well.
Yep, we're currently using Front Range GSM.
That's right. Okay. Yep. So we're going to see kind of I think the bonus of this is going to be hopefully that you don't lose any sort of functionality. Hopefully you gain some, plus you've got that seamless tie into the ITSM solution. That's kind of, I think, is probably going to be one of my larger goals here today. Just just chime in if you've got questions. There is no set agenda here, so we can jibe and duck and move however we want to for this session. All right, so we're going to do automatic discovery on all of your workstations and your servers. We're also going to detect and discover all of your network devices as well. So all of your IP phones, routers, switches, firewalls, network printers, basically anything that's got an IP address but no hard drive. We're going to discover those. Yes?
Quick question.
Sure.
Just a few minutes ago, you were talking about a app that goes on the actual workstation.
Sure. Yep.
So when it goes through the discovery mode, does it try to force an install of the application on the local machine? Say a brand new machine that was just created, that just joined the network.
No, we have to install the client.
The client, what the most successful way to get the client on your machines for in our dealings has been to put it into your Active Directory GPO, so that when somebody logs on to that from that workstation, it will automatically pick up the agent due to that group policy.
So yeah, that makes sense. So you're going to put in a group policy. So it forces that application to be installed, right?
Correct.
Yeah, that's the reason why I asked the question. I mean,
absolutely. And then you could also throw it into your image if you wanted to, that you're probably creating for all your new workstations. You could throw that in there as well. You can also go ahead.
Never mind. I think the question got answered.
No worries. You can also run a task in our system. Jumping a little bit ahead and going here behind the curtain, you can run a task to to update your agents out there as well. So that's another capability. But our team has highly recommended putting it in GPO. That is the most successful way to deploy the agent itself. We do have an agent for Windows, and here's kind of where it is in the system. You can go into this little icon here, installation guide. So we do have agent available for Windows machines, for your rogue Macs running around there. I can pick on them because I'm on one. And we also have agents for all of your different flavors of Linux, tomato. So you'll be able to discover and work with all of those operating systems. Cool?
And does the same functionality exist for each OS?
I don't think it's 100%. I think there may be a few missing features from the Linux side of things. But as far as discovery and seeing all of the information on there, you're going to be able to see that across all of them. But from remote control, we've got built-in remote control, the Magic Mouse style. It will. That's for both Windows and Mac as well, OS X. I don't know 100% if it works with the Linux for remote controlling Linux desktops. I can jot that down and come back to you though.
No, it's just sometimes they show I've been through lots of software reviews.
Sure.
They'll show it runs on all these operating systems, but then it comes back where Windows is the main supported operating, all the rest are some sort of secondary. So that makes sense with the.
It's amazing how salespeople will do that, huh? It's almost like it was planned, and the order of your words are unique to not tell the full story but not lie. So, it's unfortunately for everyone there, that's just not my MO. I'm a terrible liar. So, just chime in. I'm going to tell you where the shortcomings are if they're applicable to you. No sense in selling vaporware or snake oil. So we'll try to make sure that you understand exactly what you need.
And so this was also created with using PHP, right?
Ultimately, yes, it is. It's basically standard web tools that are
Yep.
used to make the actual interface itself. Yeah.
And it was, do you have an option for it to run locally versus the cloud?
Yes, this is on premise.
Okay.
So we are viewing it through a browser, and in this case, it does happen to be going out to the web, but you'll have it on premise. It will just be a web application, if you will.
Supposed to be browser-based, right?
Browser-based, but on premise.
Yeah.
No local app. No local app is required to access all of this information. So a couple of the other things that the system can do is and in the network discovery side of things with your network printers and all that, there are no licensing is required for that. Those are scanned in for free. We only require licenses for the machines that have an agent on them. You may also import any other assets that you want into the system, or CIs, whatever you want. Those could be to track keyboards and mice and not network printers or monitors or whatever you want, cupcakes, whatever you want. You can also manually put those into the system, or you could upload them via CSV, and those are of no license requirements either. So you can track as many of those as you want as well. So it's worth mentioning because a lot of the systems out there basically charge you by the line item in the DB, in their backend database. How many things do you have in their CMDB or asset management solution? We don't do it that way.
It's the license per app is for active ones, right? So when you discontinue an asset or a asset stolen, it's not counted against you, correct?
At this time, it is just a raw number, whether you use them all or not. So
what he's asking is, if talk about the licensing later. Let's go for the solution first. We'll talk licensing later, okay?
We can talk about or the software licensing as well.
You can't get one with it. But basically active, right? I mean, that's what it would be. So.
Yes, if the agent has reported back to the system and that workstation is a row in the system, then that's going to go against your count.
Okay.
All right. So a couple of areas that InfGate Assets is masterful at is going to be scheduling and triggering different tasks, which we're going to take a look at. As I had mentioned before, there's remote desktop control built into the system as well. We're able to do software deployment as well as remote uninstallation of software as well, which will happen in an unattended style fashion. So you'll be able to uninstall software as well. So let's go ahead and kind of dive into the solution and see what questions kind of come up. So we first logged in, which your logins can be tied to Active Directory logins as well, so you don't have to remember yet another password, so that's not a problem. And speaking of which, there's also Active Directory integration to bring in assets if you were holding assets out in your Active Directory. That's another capability. So within the solution, now we are basically here on the home area where we can see our dashboard. And these dashboards are relatively customizable, especially all these alerts down here. But up here, we can see generally, let me see if I've got my little handy dandy tool going. Yeah, I do. We can kind of just get some general information about everything across my networks. So from an operating system perspective, we can see how it's sliced and diced out there and what flavors of operating systems are hanging out there. Same with the RAM. We can get a good generalization, or really not a generalization, but deep dive. We can actually deep dive into how RAM looks out there across all of our networks and make some proactive upgrades if need be. And then we can also see the different families of assets that are out there, whether they're peripherals or net devices or energy supplies and workstations. And these are also interactive too. So workstations is obviously going to be the largest share of assets out there. So you can click on it and remove it, see which of your other asset families are out there. Now, but as we scroll on down a little bit, we're going to get into the alarms section here. And this basically, you can create alarms centered around thresholds basically on any asset element, if you will, or attribute of an asset that you have out there. Once it breaches whatever, then we can get a notification on that. For example, we can see right here from the hardware perspective, we can get notifications and alarms when RAM goes missing. I always joke, when little Johnny steals a stick of RAM out of his work computer to beef up his gaming PC at home, you'll get notification of that. Or if somebody thinks they're doing God's work and adding RAM to their workstation there at work, but they don't know anything about clock speed and such, you can get notifications on that. Hard drive free space is another. I mean, I'm sure these are pretty standard of fare, but I just want you to understand we do have this functionality as well. But you can receive notifications when hard drives free space becomes dwindled, so we can prevent forest fires instead of fighting them. So from the software side of things, we could get notifications when blacklisted software comes online. So if you've got software that you do not want on any of your workstations, you can certainly get notification when one all of a sudden pops up. You will also have the capability of setting a reoccurring task that will go out to like a range of IPs or based on an operating system or whatever elements you want. And you can actually set a task up that will go and find blacklisted software and automatically remove it. So you could do that, every day too.
Is it possible to provide the system with a list of software and everything which is not on that list gets reported back? Let's say I have 50 applications, 100 applications, whatever, and the system runs constantly and says, okay, these softwares are not on or applications are not on the list you provided, but are somewhere installed.
Yes. So what you can do is you can create 3 different lists. You can create a white list, which is going to be what you had mentioned. We've whitelisted this 150 pieces of software. All right. Yeah. Then this one might not be as applicable, but you could create a watch list. So this is maybe Photoshop, because people like to pirate Photoshop. So you could just so that you get a notification when all of a sudden Photoshop pops up on the radar. But more importantly is the blacklist. Or in your case, I mean, these are 4 pieces of software that you literally are not allowed to have. Now, from the scenario that you mentioned, you could just create the white list and then receive notification when anything pops up that's not, basically it'll be uncategorized, right? Because it's not in the white list, so it'll be uncategorized. So if anything uncategorized pops up, you get notification on that. We actually have that right here, uncategorized software installed, and you'll get notification on that.
That's excellent.
Great. So of all those watch lists and white lists, of course, you can get your notifications on there. So not a problem at all. Again, in full disclosure, at this time, the Infgate Assets does not do automatic Windows patch management. Just in full disclosure there. All of our clients are very comfortable with using WSUS to do their Windows update management. So I did want to put that out there, but what is nice is you can use Infgate to make sure that WSUS is doing its job. So you can get notifications when missing Windows updates happen out there. But in full disclosure, you would need to use like WSUS to actually execute those upgrades from remotely. All right. So other general alarms that you can do is if a new workstation all of a sudden pops up on the radar, if licenses exceed a certain limit, or if a workstation falls off the radar for a certain period of time, if some software license that has an expiration date, some sort of an annual subscription product or something, you could get notifications about those about to expire or expiring. You could have notifications pop up when a server's IP address changes. That's never good. Most servers have static IPs, but somehow it gets altered or configured. You want to know that pretty quickly. So you can set up all of these general alarms. We'll see more. This is just more of a dashboard where you can pick and choose the hot ones that you want, so you can view those. But we'll show you where all the alarms are actually located. Now, navigating around the system, we've got certainly have our icons up here. We can surf through different features related to software, licenses, all of the alarms that I had mentioned. And then we'll have a look at reporting, and then there's the administrative area. But from the dashboard itself, navigating around is really as simple as highlighting something on the screen and clicking it. So we can now go in and see all of these. Amazing, we still have these running. Luckily, these are not from our organization. All right, we're not running a whole bunch of Windows XP out there. But as a side note, that's probably my favorite Windows platform was XP, but that's a discussion for another day. As I'm sitting here on my Mac. So Windows XP, we've got almost 700 workstations out there. So once we clicked onto that, we actually have that list. So at any point in time when we're looking at data, we can dump it out to Excel if we wanted to. All right. So now I can see a computer name for these XPs, user, some language information, service pack, so on and so forth. But now I can actually just go into one of these workstations by highlighting and clicking, and now we are actually in that particular workstation. I'll scroll down to give us a little more real estate. All right, so we're in this workstation here, 1037. We've got a couple of icons over here that are very notable. This is how you could start your remote desktop control session. As I mentioned, this is a Magic Mouse style remote control session. It does interact. This is going to be peer to server to client and back. So, and ultimately the core of it, because I know the question's coming, ultimately it's VNC, but we have it completely wrapped and secured within InvGate and the communication between the agent and the server itself. And we have two available agents. One's going to be to do it depends on how many lawyers are involved here. You can do your remote control session requires the person who owns this particular workstation to accept that remote control session. So they're asked on their end, hey, Terry wants to do a remote control session. Will you allow it? If we get sign off from the lawyers, we can also send an agent that does not require that particular permission. So you can just start the remote control session. Because let's face it, something breaks, people send in a ticket and then they leave for lunch. So they're not there to accept it. So we do have that capability. Session logging does occur with the remote control session. So we'll record who started the remote control session and how long and so on and so forth. If you're looking at the details on this particular works, yeah, please.
Yeah.
Do we have a question?
No, it's fine. Thanks.
Okay. You can solicit an on-demand update to this information if you feel like something's changed. We can block USB ports here. So if you've got sensitive workstations, you can actually block USB ports to keep thumb drives or external drives from mounting to the workstation.
Property.
So.
And that's blocking. Can you block certain types of USB? So mouse and keyboard will work, but USB thumb drives won't work, and things like that?
Correct. That is how it works. This is also could be good, and it's always, you hate to speak of negative things, but if you've got somebody leaving the organization, you could lock down those USB ports on their workstation so that they don't take any intellectual property with them on a thumb drive.
How far can you drill down? You can basically say, I block a USB port for external hard drives.
That's basically, I believe that is where it stops. It's going to allow your can cooler to work and whatever, but it will stop. Basically, it'll stop drives from mounting.
Okay.
But you're not going to be able to say, I don't want a mouse to work, but I want a keyboard to work, or vice versa. Can't get that granular at this time.
Printer you'd be able to plug in.
It's like a mouse, but not a...
Yep.
Okay.
It's anything that mounts a drive. So like when you plug anything in, it gets it a D drive or whatever. Yeah.
Okay.
That's it.
But you can do that on the individual workstation, or you can do that like for all workstation at once, or?
Sure. What I can do is I can create a task. I'll go to admin task. I'll look to see what kind of tasks we can do. And one of them actually is a block and unblock USB. So what I can do is then create, really, I can filter my assets. I can say for this IP range and for this, operating system or whatever attributes, you can build basically kind of query down a list of workstations and then run a task over all of them. Or in the case we were just at, you could just go into a particular workstation. If we knew Emma Miller was leaving the organization, we could just lock down the USB port for just this one.
And these things get pushed out, correct? I mean, this is like as soon as I do it, it gets pushed out.
Yep,
and
exactly.
they'd have to be on. They'd have to be on the network.
They would have to be on the network. If not, I mean, as soon as they do come on, we're going to poll them again.
And how often does the agent update the report? Is it once a day, once a week? Like how often is there
a scan?
A scan, yeah.
Let's see. At one point, I knew the answer to that, and then somebody told me a different answer. Let me see if I can pull up. I'll ask an engineer while we're continuing. And
if they're not available, Terry, I'm pretty sure I know the answer on that.
Yeah, remember we heard it differently just the other day.
Right. Sophia told me what it is. So it pulls by default once a day. You can reschedule that. If you want it to run more often or less often, you can do that. But it automatically runs every time a workstation logs onto the network. So even if the scan ran 20 minutes ago, and that was the daily scan, and then Emma comes in at 9:30 in the morning instead of 9 a.m., let's say, as soon as she logs into the workstation, it reports. You can also manually trigger an immediate update from any workstation. You can find it in the, just search for it basically in the system, and then at one click you can trigger a call essentially back to the workstation. So there's a couple ways. Yep, there it is. There's a couple ways you could get that taken care of.
But you can I? This is on a workstation, but I can run an update on all workstation at once.
Yes, you can manually trigger. I think we have a knowledge base article. There's a command that you need to run, but yes, I believe you could do it for the whole network, all workstations on the network if you wanted to.
One of the great things, again, not really following a script, so I'm jumping around. When you're running these tasks that I mentioned, over across a range of IPs or whatever it may be, some of these different tasks that you can run, I could send a broadcast message out to a group of workstations, just an admin message. Maybe it says, we know email's down, or we know you can't access this drive. Please do not submit a ticket. We'll send out another message when it's fixed, so you don't get a whole whack of tickets. Let's see. You can just send a file.
If that message is sent out, and I send it out today, and is there an expiration that I can say it's only, like if the user is not online for a week and then comes back from vacation, do they get that message? Say, or
should only be during a certain time period.
You understand what I'm saying? So let's say our phone system is down, and I'm gonna send out a message saying, "Here it is, start date," and then one time.
Now, what you'd need to do is then, once you send out your resolution, they're gonna, when they come back from vacation, lucky bugger, they're going to receive two messages back to back. Yeah, emails or phone systems down, and then immediately it'll say, "We fixed it."
Okay, but you can't set up an expiration saying if a user, if you expire, the message expires after today, and if somebody logs in tomorrow, they won't get that message. That's not possible.
Well, what you could do, and this is probably what I would do, is back here in my list of tasks that are running, as we can see, this particular task right here was 100% complete. So again, this isn't as automated as you're asking about. But what you could do is you can see right here, that this particular task, which was blocking USB ports, was 71% successful. It was 7% failed, and then 22% it could not. It's still trying. It's still attempting to do this task across this range. Now, what the cool thing is you can also click into that, and I can actually see that list of workstations, and I can see the ones that it failed on and the ones that it's still pending. So theoretically, you could cancel that from those people, or once it's done, once you've, what are the word I'm looking for? Once you've resolved the problem, you could just delete this particular task, and it'll stop trying to send that message out to the people on vacation. But at this time, no, it does not appear that you can expire the message itself. Okay, so we
just to point real quick, you can expire messages that are on the service desk side. So that is another situation where somebody comes in to log a ticket. You can have a message available in the service desk that's separate to what we're looking at here. So there's, again, a couple ways to skin the cat, right?
Yes, exactly. So to cheat a little bit, we'll go look at the service desk side of things. We're going to log in as Emma Miller, since that was her workstation. We're going to log into her self-service portal. And when Emma logs in, or if single sign-on takes over, we do have this red message here. This is a broadcast message as well, that there's going to be a maintenance break on the Exchange server next Sunday at 11, and you can click on it for more details. The outage is going to last an hour. Please plan appropriately. And Emma could actually follow this piece of breaking news if there were more announcements on it. And that means she could dismiss it from here as well. Now, you can also expire these messages too from the administrative side. Okay? So let's squirrel that one away. Okay. So back on the tasks, actually, let me go back. You notice I'm hitting a back button on a web app. That's usually a no-no, but we're clear in our solution. You can actually click the back. So you can send a file out to a range of workstations. You could execute a script. Let's see some other ones that are kind of important here. Install software. I could uninstall software. I could uninstall software from a list, like the blacklist. So I could set up a reoccurring task for that. You can send up a reoccurring task to update the agent, block or unblock USB ports. You could even do some power actions as well. So you could attempt to shut down all workstations at 7 o'clock at night and save on power management, save on your electrical bill for the organization through using that. Now, it's not going to power down Johnny's workstation while he's putting a cover letter on his TPS report. It'll prompt him and ask him, can we shut the machine down? But you'd be amazed at how many people turn the monitor off and think they turn their computer off.
What about servers?
That's a good question. I think I'll probably have to.
They ought to be in a separate group that you don't push that task to.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And you can create your own groups of, let's see, for workstations. Let's see, where are we? Manufacturer, software groups. There are different groups that you can build out here. Categorize. No, that's not it. So you can make, okay, that's more software related, but you can also group your workstations as well, workstations versus servers. You can put all of your different assets into different groups as well. So you could exclude servers.
I had a group management question for you.
Sure.
So, all right, we've got two groups, workstations and servers. Can I subgroup the workstation into, finance and IT?
Yeah, you can actually. And I'll show you.
Then,
let's see, where do I have it at on this particular view? I'll find it in a minute, but go ahead with your question.
So that was basically it, because sometimes we want to get reporting on or do something to all the workstations, and then sometimes we might want to only do it to a certain subgroup of those workstations.
Sure.
Terry, leave it on the screen for a second.
Okay.
Change the location of where the computer is, so you can do a report on that, and change the owner of it. You do not have to do it.
And the owner behind it, the owner, but there's the cost center.
Will you show the financial side?
Absolutely. So we'll get
Cost center and everything.
right here. We get the inventory, the acquisition date itself, the invoice number, the purchase number, and here's where we were just talking about where you can put them in particular departments and groups and with different companies, and you can slice and dice and use those however you want to if you're not, you know.
So you can assign tasks based on department rather than based on some other grouping?
I'm pretty sure we'll go take a look at it in just a second, but yeah, I don't think that's going to be a problem.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm almost positive you can. I can't remember where that's
exactly.
Set up,
Yep.
what tab that's under in config, but I'm almost positive I've seen that before.
Yep.
It'd be important for things like, you know, we want to inform all of the finance department that the finance app is broken, but we don't want to tell the whole company that because they don't care. But sometimes we want to get a report on all the workstations and that, so we don't want to have it so subdivided that I have to run 20 reports and collate them all.
Right, exactly. Absolutely.
Gary?
Yes.
On this page, so the cost center information, I know you said that this can link up to Active Directory. Can we have it pull that information based on the user that is assigned to that asset? So that we don't have to manually enter this information in. So once an end user is associated to it, it pulls that information, like their location and cost center and everything from Active Directory.
Let's see. Sorry, we want to go back to financial. Let me see if anyone out there knows the answer to that, if I put it out there real fast.
So stay on that page for a second.
Yeah.
So assume works, yeah. So inventory, state or asset number, management, department. We go to save, and then. But what
This
we
information stays the same.
right, this stays the same.
Yeah.
This stays the same. Yeah. And this stays the same. What makes sense? Like we how would we put this in no, but by name, but like how does that system that would go based by name basically? So we would basically.
So, Terry, can you go back to the hardware tab?
Sure.
So right here where you have the owner, so when you go in, and Terry, correct me if I'm wrong on this, so if we were to go in and take this and change the owner of it, the financial information would stay in there.
Yes.
So that we still have the purchase date and warranty expiration and all of that information would stay the same.
Yes.
And if we got it or hooked up with Active Directory where it could pull those attributes out of Active Directory for the cost center and the department, only if this would work, only that section would change.
And that's where it gets tricky, right? Because if it changes, if it goes from Terry, this laptop travels from Terry, who's in development, and it goes to Emma, who's in marketing. We don't want to update the financial that say, you know, now all of a sudden it's the cost center that came out of the marketing department. The cost center should have come out of the development team, I would imagine. I could be wrong.
That's actually what we want. So
yeah, that's the opposite. We
want actually because if let's say cost center 890, a user from cost center 890 leaves the company and we redeploy the device to cost center 880. Because it's still in life cycle. So
Still in depreciation.
So then I would like we just changed the name basically from Terry to Emma, and based on that name change, the system will recognize it's a different cost center, different department, different manager.
I'll probably have to talk to one of the engineers on that. I'm not 100% sure what's going to get updated in the background, and I'd hate to tell you one way or the other. It just, honestly, I'm not 100% sure.
My worry is changing that.
But I think originally the intent of that is capturing where the original asset is.
Yeah, of course.
So, I mean, it's just the intent versus the modification. Can I ask you a quick question?
Sure.
Can you show the change history?
Sure.
So, can I look at the original doc? Okay.
So let me just make sure we're looking at everything.
Well, no, I mean, it's
Okay.
actually telling me to done.
For this one particular workstation, this is all of the change that has happened to this particular workstation. Forgive me, I know this is going to be dizzying as I get to the bottom. So from the day that it was discovered as a new workstation, the day blacklisted software was removed from it, it was the Google toolbar. RAM was added. How much was there before? How much is there afterwards? More blacklisted software. It changed locations. It changed owners. The warranty is about to expire. Changed owners again. Location. It went into a start repair status, and then it finally came out of it. And everything else in here has been captured. Now,
So the user Johnny Doe is the one that, pardon me? So which ID is that? Is that the
Johnny.
username that you're logged into now?
that is the person who logged into it.
Bingo. So can you tell the person actually made the change?
In which way? Sorry, my apologies. If they're logged in as
So if
Johnny Doe, it will be recorded as Johnny Doe.
If I log into your system and I change that computer to going to Billy Bob, right?
Yeah.
Will it show my user account because I logged into your system? Will it show my account making that change?
Yes.
So yeah.
Okay, so it shows also, so Johnny Doe, and then it changed to.
That's the last person logged in. Yeah.
Oh, is that the last person that logged in?
That's the last one logged in. That's why we're. So
You see it changed here.
is that the
Yeah, change there.
But is that the last person that logged into the computer, or is that the person logged into the application?
This was the person who logged into the computer when this event happened.
Right.
And can this table be changed? For example, that we change the cost, like we have a cost center column, so we see when a computer changes from one cost center to another.
It would just appear. I mean, it would be an event. So the previous value would be what the cost center was, and what the current value, the new value is. So this was a change of ownership from Nancy to Emma. From block
Can we report on that?
to block. Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
And go back to financials, please. Are these field names like management, company, provider, price? They can't be customized. They are what they are. Correct?
The labels themselves are what they are. HR is going to be customizable. Company, Raffio, or whatever that is obviously going to be
So you
customizable.
can't add anything else in there or remove it?
Not at this time. You can add, not to the financials tab, I don't believe. I believe you can certainly add an observation here if you want, which is just a free-form text box. And then I think you can also add generic fields, but I don't think you can specifically do it to the financial tab per se. A couple of other interesting areas here. You can upload and attach documents to the asset as well.
That's kind of cool.
He's gonna find out.
Company is our company.
Yeah. If you can find out if that second line, the management, department, company, and cost center, if that can be pulled from Active Directory attributes,
Sure.
the rest of it we can put in there. There's nothing that you can pull that from, but if we can at least get that one line pulled from Active Directory, that would be amazing.
That would be big.
Right.
Yeah. Yep.
In that same vein, I assume you guys, if we decide to deploy this, will assist us in the initial populating of the database. Is that part of the deal?
Say that one more time. Sorry, I was reading something.
that assuming we decide to go with this, is part of the deal getting some assistance from you guys in the initial populating?
Yeah, absolutely. We can do a remote installation for you. Then we've got knowledge base article after knowledge base article on, like there's one specifically sitting out there of how to distribute the agent via GPO, and we could set up, an hour-long session to do whatever you want to. Yeah, we're pretty much just out there to do the right thing.
Great.
Yep. Well, once the agent gets out there, a lot of the magic happens.
Sure.
But some of the other items that are notable here as we kind of go through and looking at this one particular workstation is now we can actually see all of the installed software that's on this particular workstation, and it's actually color coded to show you what is on that watch list that we saw previously, whether it requires a license or not, and how frequently or infrequently it's being used. So we've got, I think we can kind of see that throughout here. And what's nice about InvGate is if you're seeing something on here like WinRAR archiver, and that's a very questionable thing, I can actually click on WinRAR, and now I can see that we've got 659 workstations out there running WinRAR, and here's the list of them there if I needed to do any sort of navigating and tooling around in there. So as I go back to this workstation, something that I wanted to show you on the alarms, it's worth mentioning. If I come out here, these are currently some of the different alarms that we've got there. If I uncheck them all and I just want to see the start repair status. So what I can do now is I could actually take this list, dump it to Excel or send it to a PDF, and I could take this to the check signers and go, look, this workstation has come in a start repair, and we've repaired this workstation 24 times over the last year. It will be more cost effective for us to replace this workstation rather than repair it. And you've got hard evidence for that.
That's tied into the ticketing system, right?
This can be tied into the ticketing system, or you can. Sometimes we've got a lot of sysadmins who work outside of the ticketing system, so you can actually send a workstation to a repair status from within the system here as well. So I could give it a description.
Does that open a ticket?
This does not open a ticket at this time. No, it doesn't. It's more of just status control.
Right.
So,
can you go to the licensing tab?
Yeah, sure. Here, I'll finish the software one, and then we'll zip right over to it. This is where you can stack yourself up against how WSUSE is doing. We can see that there are Windows and other third-party updates that need to be done on this particular system. And we can also check out what we call software metering. So we could come out here to a workstation and see what software is rarely used, and maybe do some license reallocation from that as well. Now we're going to be able to also see this software metering across all software in our organization as well. This is just for a particular workstation. Okay.
How do you match the if it's licensed or unlicensed? How do you match that? Like, how do you get the license information in there?
Sure. So over in our licensing area here, we've got a section called licensing, and then you tell us what contracts you own. So you can tell us that you own these licenses, these number of concurrent, this number of named. If you've got SaaS licenses, what is it with Windows Server NAT? No, what is it? What are all the licenses called? Again, what is it?
Cal, yeah.
User Cal licenses?
Yeah, CALs, sorry, yep. Those. And so you will have to tell us what you own. If we can identify what you've owned, Skynet is aware, and we have bigger problems. But you put in what your organization owns, and then you can run licensing reports, because what we now have is what's out there, how many you actually own, and then we can go out to a licensing report here, such as this. I'll scroll down to maybe one that's, let's see.
So what button do you press to activate Skynet?
I can.
It matters on if you're on Windows or Mac, guys. There's different commands for each.
And I'm only allowed to tell John Connor.
So, question for you. By user, can you, maybe you've seen this, but by user, you can break down the series of assets the user has, right? So right now we've been going by computer or by hardware. Can you go the opposite way?
Yes, you can.
This user has.
So I can go, and I honestly don't know how many Emma has.
Yeah, but
this is all of Emma's, her workstations, and then any other assets she has out there, like printers and monitor. You can see monitors and IP phone and a printer, and these are all associated with Emma.
What about software from Emma?
Sorry?
Oh, Emma software.
Well, Emma doesn't necessarily own the software. The workstation owns the software because that can move. But
yeah, that makes sense. Software. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but if I wanted to know, like I said, WinRAR, what all is running WinRAR, I can do it a couple of different ways. I could run a software report out of the search.
Can I run the report also based on cost center?
You can run a report based on cost center. Yes. We'll go out here to the advanced reporting. I'll just show you a little bit about it, just to kind of show you how it goes. So basically, you're going to have access to any and every table in the system. Nice. So you'll be able to get to workstation financials. If I'm honest, I don't run too many reports, so I have to kind of dig around to find it all. But you have access to the entire database here. There's financials. I double click it, and that will bring out the financials.
Under company, under CC.
Purchase date, cost center is going to be CC, and then I can bring in other information, and I'll be able to extract it that way. So you can save those, and then those will be available out here under saved, and you can still come back and edit those as well. So you can see in this case where we've got some linkage, and we're able to extract that information.
Okay.
All right.
And how do you, when you have nice dashboards and so on, how do you download reports? So let's say I want to represent that to senior management.
Sure.
Or around.
I'm not going to run this one because I don't know if it actually runs, but it saves it when you run it. And I don't want to lock up the system because I have no idea if it's a valid report, unfortunately. But it's going to when you run it, it will save that to, I believe it's going to be Excel, so that you can slice and dice it.
Can you run a report so that it puts it out in graph form instead of an Excel spreadsheet?
I don't think there's going to be as much graphical representations as there's going to be like in the ticketing system itself, where you can. But I think this one's going to be a little bit more accountant friendly. It's going to be
homepage. You can change what you want to have in there for the graph. In
some of these, you can. There's not a ton of flexibility in this portions of the dashboards at this time, though.
More in the.
And can you
what are other key questions for this?
So none of those graphs can be printed out or saved as a PDF?
Can you do that in the service desk?
In the service desk. In the service desk, we'll go. The service desk is going to be a little bit more graphical. Let me log in as Terry the technician. If you remember, we have our dashboards here, and at this time you cannot export the dashboards themselves. What you do is you actually create your reports themselves, and that's going to be what you can really export. Dashboards are really more for that. They're at a glance, see what's falling through the cracks, and.
So what we just snag these then and put them in
what I would do.
into a PowerPoint.
4-point crystal reports at the SQL database.
Data, create your own graphs.
Yeah.
I mean, it's go back in. Anything that report that can touch SQL can do it.
Okay. guys
Okay.
have other questions regarding the asset management that you guys would like to see?
So we discussed imaging without,
Imaging without,
yeah.
it can audit software on assets, which is good.
So you can put your software into licensing so that anyone, like for Photoshop, you might want only people from marketing and designers to be allowed to have Photoshop on their workstation. Managers and people in sales, nope. So you can actually manage your different software that way as well as to who can and can't have particular software. So that's,
And if you have 10 licenses and the 11th person tries to install it?
what we'll do is we'll report that has happened. We can't force them not to, or if they're using,
An alarm.
because they could, an
You
alarm will go off
can-
because they could be using a key that they found out on some wares.
So what about like a software shop where users can go in and there's available software like Adobe Reader updates and stuff like that they can go in and download themselves?
You're not the first to ask for that, and you won't be the last. I would like to see that, but there is not a corporate app store at this time. But I'm going to be jotting it down.
If I remember correctly, wasn't there something in the service desk that they could go in and request, and it goes through the approval
Correct.
process?
Yes.
But they can't actually go and download it. It just goes through the approval process.
It goes through the approval process. That's correct. So they can come to create a ticket, and they can say, we made all these up, right? These categories. So I've got an inquiry, and I want to. These don't read correctly, but I want to request downloading so and so. And what you can do is have workflow behind this that goes into. You can even do a 2-step approval process. I'll show you how that looks from a graphical representation.
Hold on.
Sure.
Let's follow the services in a second. Let's finish the asset management part.
Sure.
So from a licensing perspective, going back what Tim asked earlier. So let's say you have 100 clients, agents installed basically. So
Yes.
they run. That's what we pay 100 agents.
Yes.
And then we dispose one laptop and deploy another one. So we have basically, for the time of that disposal and deployment, there will be 2 agents basically, even though we only have one machine active at that point. Do we then pay 2 licenses because there's always like an overlap, or how does it work?
No, what you will do is you will retire or eliminate or delete the retired asset, and that will free up a slot. That makes sense.
Okay, but there's always we always retire after we deploy the new one, correct? So
There will be overlap. So what he's saying is that, let's say we have 100 licenses, we are going to be deleting one, so we'd be down to 99, and we're adding one to get back up to 100. But there is overlap between the disposal of the old hardware and bringing in the new hardware while that one gets set up. How does that work?
I will give you an extra license just because you guys are so special, so that it'll.
We'll spend the $7 on you guys.
Yeah, I'm willing to invest it. I'm willing. I know my return's going to come back to me.
yeah, it's a common license problem. So it's the same with Microsoft license. I mean, you never have 100% compliance because there's always overlap from you run a scan and you dispose something, and there's always we always have to first release something before we retire the old one. Otherwise, the user is out of a machine or out of software for a little bit. Yeah. We can't do that. That's why there's always.
I mean, it could be up to 20 computers at once.
Yeah, it could be a couple of computers at once, depending what's the turnaround. Like if you look at the sales meeting, for example, if we deploy at once 30 machines, that could be that week we have 30 machines.
So let me ask you guys like this: how does it work? So when let's say we order 100 licenses,
sure,
and we have 80 computers.
Yep.
So we gave ourselves a 20 license
buffer
cushion.
Yeah.
So then we decided to deploy 30 computers, and we install this on 30 new computers. So we're 10 licenses over. How does that work? Does that hit you guys, and then you guys send us a bill for the additional 10, or will it not allow you to install, and then we have to get those licenses before we can install it, or how does that work?
What it's going to do is you can deploy the agent to 1 million computers if you want. But if you've purchased 100 licenses, the first 100 to report back are the ones that are going to stay in. The other 900 and whatever, that whole other whack of them will not be able to log any entry into the
Once
system.
we clean it up, then those agents that have it installed will then report in.
Yeah, yeah. All right.
We always need a buffer, basically.
Yeah, yeah. But not even that much of one.
No.
Not even that much of one.
No, that's why I kidded about. I'll give you the one
So we
extra.
have to be aware.
So where in here can I go and see how many licenses are available and how many are being utilized?
Ooh, yeah.
That's a really good question. That's funny that nobody has ever asked that. Where? Oh, I think it's out here. Where did I see it? All right, this is licensed for 9,999 workstations.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's how many we have available. How
That's,
many active though?
active will just come into the system itself. To show it right here, this is just a quick one. I was looking for a quick tally there. Workstations. There's 831 workstations in the system.
Workstations, that's all.
Because it's the only ones that count.
And printers and backups and
Yeah, that's
Each thing that has the agent on it.
Yeah.
That's what they're measuring.
Okay.
But the agent would be installed on the servers, wouldn't it?
it's going to consider call them workstations if I remember correctly. Let me see if I've got any servers out here. See, here's the Windows Server family. It's still going to be considered a
If you install it on even a printer, if it's a printer that can take an agent.
I would like to have like a 15-minute look at the service test. So can you, thank you for the asset management.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can you just 15-minute run through to the service test?
Absolutely. Since I happen to have it on the screen, and it does probably looks a little messy, you know, we'll have a look at it, that part later. We'll look at a quick, something that you can do with the ticketing system.
Yeah, that was a workflow process.
This is a workflow for a new employee coming on board. You know, there's 15, 20, 30 things that have to happen every time. They always happen. You can actually build that out in InvGate Service Desk. And these are real living and breathing configuration in the system. It's not a Visio document or a PDF. Each of these contain a step and contain configuration behind them. So the very first step is probably going to be, for a new employee, is probably going to be a form for HR to fill out. A new employee's name, contact details, recommended email address, laptop, yes or no, a mobile phone, yes or no, emergency contact, how many dependents do they have, stuff that's important to your team, stuff that's not important to your team but important to someone else's team. That's okay. So they fill out one form, and then we're going to be able to disseminate the information that's important to each team member. So in this first step that we've got here, we've got something kind of snazzy going on. We're actually doing a web services API call. So we're actually going to make a call out to the organization's HR system and input that employee information. Again, we can not pass in whether they want whether they need a laptop or not, because it doesn't make any sense. But then when that stage is complete, we can go on to another stage where HR is going to complete the benefits paperwork. Then it can go to IT or security to do the IT security clearance, issue their badge. Then it can go on to another step. Yeah, so on and so forth.
Is this all in one ticket, or does it create a new ticket for every different step in there, or does it depend on how you set it up?
Depends on how you set it up.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it could be either way.
Could be.
Does your ticket have tasks? I'm the only one who
So we have two people that haven't seen the service desk presentation,
Sure.
which I can send them as well so they can watch the full thing.
No
But can
worries.
you show just an open ticket and what it looks like?
Yeah, for sure. And this one's going to have a fair amount of moving parts to it, but I promise you there's a lot going on, and it's actually pretty digestible. So in the system, just to kind of give you a little bit of a layout, you know, just to understand the landscape here, you got some navigation icons here and more navigation icons, but now below here is actually the ticket. This is the subject of the ticket. This is the category or the service catalog category that it's associated with. A couple of standard fields here, what status, priority, so on and so forth. First resolution, SLA. I'm sorry, first response, then resolution, SLA has expired. This is the body of the ticket, the gripe, the moan that Sergio is having. And keeping on this side of the ticket, this is where you can add a note and stylize it, add an attachment, or paste in a screenshot if you want. Those are kind of actually pretty cool. It's probably worth showing. If you've got a snippet tool, I'll just grab some portion of my screen there, and then I can Control V. I could actually inject that screen snippet that I just had there into the ticketing system. And then below here, you can tell what this is. This is dialogue that's taking place between people on the ticket itself. The yellow denotes that it is an internal message, so that the end user is not reading this. John, who is an agent, said try this, and injected in a knowledge base article from the knowledge base in here to try to help alleviate the situation. Now, as I scroll,
Terry, correct me if I'm wrong. So this dialogue back and forth on the bottom,
yes,
that can be pulled in also through email, correct?
It can.
So if you email an end user and then they reply, it automatically goes into here?
That's correct. So we've got portal people and non-portal people. And portal people are going to be using this just like most people would, and adding notes to comments to blogs and whatnot. But some people are not portal people, or they're on the go, or they just don't need to come into here. They can simply reply back to that email associated with a ticket, and it will append it as a note, as well as attachments. That's notable as well. So
do you have individual tasks relating to this?
For this particular ticket, well, there's a couple of ways that you could do it. If it was a predefined workflow ahead of time, then yes, there would be these tasks that appear. But if it's a simple kind of break fix type of a ticket, you could actually create and link a new ticket to this if you needed to spawn off a task for someone else to do. Or rather than doing all of that, you could, and rather than reassigning a ticket, you can actually ask people to collaborate. So I can just ask Terry or James or Federico. They're all collaborating on this particular ticket right now.
Okay. So there is no task method. It's just that you have the main ticket. You can collaborate, but no task level.
What you would do is you'd have to pre-build that into a workflow. There's not really ad hoc task management, if you will. You'd have to create and link a ticket.
And I'm going to do one of my own pet peeves I need to ask. Sure. Is there a method where you can, when a ticket gets opened, it gets resolved, you can very quickly open and close it, versus going 5 or 10 mouse clicks and 10 minutes on a 1-minute ticket?
Yeah.
How fast is the
So a couple of different efficiencies that you can have here is you could have pre-built canned messages in here. So you can have a laundry list of canned responses, and you'll click that, and it'll toss it in there. But then for actually solving it, you click the solve button here. I want to make sure I don't want to solve this particular ticket because it's got a lot of moving parts. I'll go into one that I don't really much care about.
Oh, it's okay. So it's got
pre-canned messages that you can do there. But as far as solving it, yeah, okay. I just wanted to make sure. Basically, it turns this background green, and you could inject your response or whatever it may be, and I hit reply. This ticket is solved. It's done. You dust your hands, look up at the camera, and walk away like in Vegas.
Okay, good.
What's notable here is we can see there was an asset associated with this particular ticket, and I can actually click on the details. I think this is an actual workstation. Yeah. Now, from the ticket itself, now I can actually see that entire audit history in here if need be. I can start my remote desktop control session from the ticket itself. I can see that there are 2 pieces of blacklisted software on here, 2 pieces of licensed software, Here's where I can send this workstation into a repair status from the ticket itself. I can see that the warranty has expired, so it's on us to fix. And it looks like the USB ports are blocked. I could unblock it from here. But now I've got all of this information in the ticketing system as well. All the hardware information. I've got all the networking information. If I needed to grab a MAC address or an IP address, I can grab that. All of that software information is held in here, so I can see anything that's whitelisted, blacklisted, does not require a license, so on and so forth. I can filter down that software information. I can see how the hard drive's partitioned. I can see there's not a ton of free space left. So maybe, who is this? Nancy needs to dwindle down her iTunes library. Operating system information, if you just want to make sure they're on the latest service pack really quick at a glance. Any relationships to any other assets or CIs you can see there for maybe risk assessment purposes during change. We've got all that financial information is available right here in the ticketing system as well. All right, so that's all available.
Depreciation, is there actually a depreciation calculation? Like you said, 20%,
yes.
So it expires over 5 years.
Yes.
Does it take the original price and reduce it for every year?
That is my knowledge. That is correct, but I will triple check that as well. But it's not just a number to throw in there as to what our depreciation rate is. There is some math that happens.
Okay.
Hey, Terry, I know we've got you jumping all over the place, but can you quick show the end user portal?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
an end user that looks at the checklist status?
Yeah.
For sure. So we're logging in as Emma, the end user. Large navigation icons across the top, trying to make things real familiar, very easy to navigate. We saw we had that breaking news. There could be multiple ones in here. You could certainly dismiss them. So I'm going to scroll down because it is distracting, but that's kind of on purpose. We've got the knowledge base area on the left, and then Emma's open tickets on the right. All right, it's still all very familiar. Pardon me?
We can customize it. We can customize that screen so we can take the knowledge database articles out if you want to, and just have the ticket. Or
what you can do is you can port them to my requests first if you want, and that does not show the knowledge base. Or if you want them to start out at the knowledge base, you can make them port into just the knowledge base area first, and then they'd have to actively leave here or create a new request or something to that effect. So it all depends on how you want to steer your audience. Knowledge base.
Go back to, go into one ticket, please.
Actually, could you start a new ticket?
Let's look at the existing ticket.
Can you open up an existing ticket?
Sure.
That was in the box.
That's it.
Okay, so this is one of Emma's tickets right here. Subject, category, some standard fields, the original ticket body. Emma can add a note to the ticket itself, including any supporting documents.
If you put a note in there, what does it do?
Does it notify the technician that they put a note in there?
Yes. They'll receive an email notification. They can receive there are real-time flags in the system as well that they'll see.
They're little.
So if I was to role play,
Can you show the activity?
Say again?
Can you show the activity feed under Emma?
Sure. Hers or this? Oh, there's none there. I'll show it to you from the technician side because it's more impressive and more useful from from the technician side. So when you're logged in as a technician, you're receiving email notifications when there's updates to tickets. You're receiving badge updates. As you can see right here, there are 7, but there's 3 that have been updated. But what's really cool is this updates as well. And this is Terry's social feed. Basically, this is my things that are happening in my InvGate world, not my teams. I can go out to dashboards if I want to see team vital signs or run reports or whatever. This is just me, the technician, and when things are happening. So, Emma's done something here, created a ticket, or she's updated it, or whatever it may be, is right here in my little like Twitter feed, InvGate service desk, if you will. And it's probably
that's every ticket that belongs to you, every ticket you're collaborating on, and every ticket you're following, right?
Just the most recent updates to them. Yes, you may have.
That's what you see. You see yours, your collaborations, and your following tickets, and nothing else.
That's right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that's where I go to in our system. My inbox is a hot mess, so I can't rely on that 100% of the time. So when I have questions with developers or whatnot, I just come straight into our ticketing system. I click there to see what updates have happened.
So I know that we're short on time, but I think this is a really cool feature.
Yeah.
Will you show the not only the knowledge database, but also the rewards and the incentives portion? I really like that feature. I know it's a very small thing, but
no, I think it's cool.
No, for the technician.
For the technician.
Kind of like a friendly competition.
Specifically for Brock.
And here's something worth mentioning as well. As you can see, I've got a third browser out here. I've just gone out to the login, but if I actually change this to pretend to be an iPhone, this will adapt and change based on the type of device that I'm on. So if I log in as Terry the Technician on my iPhone, what it does is it takes me immediately into my social stream so I can see what's happening. So if I'm walking down the hall and I want to see what's blowing up in my InvGate inbox, if you will, that's the first thing that I see. And these are, of course, linkable too. I could tap that and go right to that ticket. But my little menu button, it slides over. Now I can create tickets on the fly. I can see any breaking news. I can see that the 3 things that I need to do. These are my 3 tickets that I'm working on right now. Again, I'm Terry the Technician. I could see the tickets that I'm collaborating on if I wanted to deep dive into those. So I could click into that particular one, come in here. I could tap that, and now I could see that dialogue that's taking place. And keep in mind, let me move my little toolbar there. Get out of the way. Get, I want the real estate. There we go. This would be what a phone would look like, Android or whatever, and on a tablet, it's gonna look like that. So it's a responsive design. And it's very, very fully featured as well. I can even add just internal notes if I need to from my mobile device. So I thought that was worth mentioning, worth showing, especially from the knowledge base perspective. Your knowledge base I can search through my knowledge base here. I could watch YouTube.
Sorry, Terry.
Yeah.
Sorry, because of time. Can you go back to the technician home screen? Okay. So you have different roles. Let's say the help desk manager wants to see the entire queue. So what's happening on tickets, assigned, not assigned, and so on. So where you see that all tickets not assigned to a user or to a technician and so on.
There's many ways that you can look and slice through that data. If you just needed to see tickets that are not assigned, I can just go to my not assigned here, and I can even see the different teams that I manage. I'm managing facilities, software support, and the overreaching IT team itself, and I can see those that are not assigned. Of course, we should have auto assignment turned on, but in this case, it's a scenario where I need to be the traffic cop and I need to assign them. But I can also just go out to help desks here, and I can then just I can look at all tickets associated with any different help desks that I belong to, IT security level 2, desktop support, or whatever it may be. But you can also do such things as just search in here. So if you get a phone in and it's Emma, you can actually just key in Emma's name, and now I can see Emma's got 6 open tickets, which groups they're sitting with, contact information, and here's all of Emma's assets as well.
And how is like from a technician? Let's say I'm a technician and I log on, and we have right now the full concept. So we don't assign automatic assign tickets. We basically a technician takes a ticket.
Sure.
How would that work? So somebody sees here's a ticket coming in.
Yeah,
How would that work?
they can just, let's see if there's, you'll see in the not assigned queue, and I believe I can just grab ownership right here.
Can it be on the dashboard?
I could. I don't know if you can actually grab, cherry pick it from the dashboard, but you could certainly show, you could have a, unassigned tickets dashboard or whatever. You can have as many dashboards as you want, but
I think, Terry, I think you can. It takes a drill down, but if you go to the backlog and you pull up the backlog, it'll give you like the breakdown of all those tickets when you click on it. And I think that little right-hand option is there. I think I did that in the demo yesterday, actually.
Yeah, these may be all assigned.
Those are all assigned, that's why.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, and then so let's say, go back to the other, what was it, not assigned.
Filter.
What,
Fine.
because we have different locations, and what we do is basically we have one team, but like if somebody in Salt Lake City takes first Salt Lake City ticket, or somebody in applications looks for more application ticket, is it possible to, in this, where you see not assigned test tickets, to have certain tags based on some user information? For example, I can see that this user is in Salt Lake City, and it would show the location, or...
Would you create that under different tabs? So
I don't know.
I think what I would... I think what I would probably do is I'd use our business rules engine and create a rule that says if the ticket's from Salt Lake City, put it in our Salt Lake City group of people's queue, and don't.
The priority. Let's not confuse it.
Sometimes those go hand in hand. Terry, show them that too. That you could say, like, when a C-level sends a ticket, it escalates.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yes, you can. You can change your service level agreements as well, so that you can have VIP SLAs for your very important people. So you can define a group out here. I can just do a search on VIP. I can see there's 6 members of it, and I can see those 6 members right here. I can see they've got 41 open tickets, and make sure that things are.
That or there's going to be some.
You take care of your VIPs.
Okay. I do want to show this really fast before we run out of time, which is the gamification, and I'll show you. I'm going to show it to you by making something actually happen. So if I log in as Emma Miller as an end user, and I'm creating a ticket, okay? I'm creating a new request. I'm presented with my services that your teams offer us. This can go across departments. I mean, we've got stuff out here for cleaning services, whatever you want, doesn't matter. But for today, we're just going to talk about a printer issue. We're going to go cliche IT. And we'll click continue, and that creates a form. Okay, let me get rid of my little toolbar again. There it is. And in this particular one we've got a good old subject and a good old description, but instead of letting them just type whatever gibberish they want, we're leading the horse to water and asking very specific questions. Okay, so you can deck these out however you want. You can have date fields. You can ask for user input, like who's your manager, to drive workflow later on. But anyways, that's not the point of the exercise here. But if I do brother toner, if I was typing away in the subject, what InVgate Service Desk does is it starts to compare that against your knowledge base. Okay, so we actually made a specific match. If it was a close match, solutions just appear over here. But if you've got an exact match, it puts it right in your grill. So you can actually see that there's been 69 requests solved through this knowledge base article. So I click on it, and it's a YouTube video on how to change out the toner cartridge in that particular printer. If I still can't figure it out, I could click on I still want to file a request. But if I watched that video and it worked, I could just click, yep, that solved my problem. We do a digital high five, and everybody goes about their business. Now, I told you that story to tell you this one. So that, of course, you can see how the self-resolution works. But now I'm going to log out and I'm going to log in as Terry. And the reason I am is because I actually created that knowledge base article. See that little green thing right there that just flew into there and my points went up. Why? Because a knowledge base article that I wrote was marked as helpful a few seconds ago, and I earned 30 points. Okay, so that knowledge base article with that YouTube video was one that I posted out there. Now, whether I'm doing it to help my end users or literally game the system, the bonus is that we're creating incentive to produce digestible, solid content out there in the knowledge base. Because if they're not helpful, then you're not going to get any points, right? And you can get, like I've earned just a point for just replying to a ticket. The point values are yours to create. So let's see, I always say it's not all, rainbows, puppy dogs, and unicorns. You can lose points. There is negative reinforcement as well. An approval got rejected. Or if I breached my SLA, I'd lose points. If I got a 1 out of 5 star customer sat rating, I'll lose a lot of points. If I get a 2 out of 5 star, I don't quite lose as many. 3, 4, 4 I earn points, 5 I earn a lot of points. So it does create incentive. Now, one of the other cool things is you can actually send your technicians also on quests. So in this case, I'm going to open this one up. It's called the SLA Ninja. So the SLA Ninja quest, and I'm 20% of the way through it successfully. What is it? It says that if I can go 1 month without breaching my SLAs, I will earn the IT Ninja badge and 5,000 points. And those badges I earn them down here. Other people can see which badges I've earned. You can go so far as to make prerequisites, so that I cannot earn this badge until I've earned that one.
Yeah.
All right.
And Reggie.
Quick story about prerequisites. When I first went into college many, many zillion years ago, I accidentally signed up for Latin 201. I had no idea that you were supposed to take 101 first. And for an unspoken language, they sure were talking a lot in the class. And they were just holding up cards and people were saying what they were. It was a wagon and this and that. And it got to me and I just shook my head no and put my head down. But that's my little prerequisite story. But yeah, you can set up prerequisites here. And these images, we uploaded them. They can be whatever you want, whatever images you want. You can have inside jokes and stuff like that. But then you can also see how you're ranking and stacking up against your colleagues. So I'm in the lead. And as I always joke about, it looks like our sysadmin's going to get fired tomorrow. So only got 4 points. So something that you could also do is tie this to any incentive, right? Street cred's cool. I got points and badges. But when you say the technician at the end of the quarter with the most points wins a $100 Amazon gift card, it changes things. So you could associate that with anything. Just let it.
All right, Terry, we got to head into the next meeting here. Thank you very much for taking the time to demo this for us. I will be in contact with my colleagues here, and if there's any further questions, I will definitely get in touch with you.
Perfect.
Otherwise, I will probably be getting in touch with you anyways, just to discuss next.
Sounds like a plan to me. I really appreciate everyone's time. Thanks for letting us run a couple minutes late. Yeah. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon, though.
All right, thank you very much. Thanks, Terry.
Cheers. Thanks, everyone. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Thanks.